All right, everyone. Hello and welcome. It is about 8 o'clock, 8:04 exactly here on January the 2nd, and we are tracking what has the potential to be a very potent winter weather system that will be making their way or its way into the region here on Sunday and Monday for this weekend. The timing of this storm looking to be coming in extremely late Saturday and extremely early Sunday, say around midnight or 1 o'clock on Sunday morning, lasting all throughout the day on Sunday and eventually moving out on Monday morning. So we do thank you for joining us, and if you have any questions, be sure to put those in the comments section. We'll do our best to get those answered for you this evening. So first of all, the big story, obviously, as I'm sure you've heard by now, is the ice impacts with this storm. We're already under a winter storm watch. That includes most all of southern Illinois with the exception of Pulaski, Alexander, and Massac County. All of southern Illinois under that winter storm watch until further notice, depending on how the models trend over the next few hours, couple days. We'll likely see that upgraded to either a winter storm warning or an ice storm warning for multiple areas, not just in southern Illinois, but in Missouri as well, Kentucky, Indiana, and all throughout the central and northern half of the state as well. Illinois is one state that is definitely going to be impacted pretty much everywhere from this winter storm. So certainly having our eyes glued to the latest model updates this afternoon and evening. We just put out this graphic. We'll come back to it and talk a little bit more in depth a little while later. But this is the current thinking from multiple different sources, including the National Weather Service, on just how much snow, sleet, and ice our area will see. The main thing that we'd like you to get off of this graphic is kind of the areas of where we'll see more snow and more ice. So as you can tell, more of the snow impacts are going to be focused on areas to our north, on a line pretty much from Mount Vernon and north of there. I had a couple people asking a little bit earlier who actually live in Mount Vernon, are we going to see more snow or are we going to see more ice? Well, Mount Vernon is right on that dividing line, so they'll probably see a mix of all three, snow, ice, and sleet. But points along I-64 and north can expect quite a bit of snow. Low end amount, probably 5-6 inches. High end amount, all the way up to 12 inches. I don't think anywhere in our region is going to see a foot of snow. I think the likelihood of seeing that is going to be in areas further to our north, say Effingham, up to around the Champaign area. So the big snow impact will likely be to our north. Our main impacts right now, as it seems, based off the latest information, is going to be from ice. And we could also see some snow and sleet mixing in with that as well. On top of that, we'll talk a little bit more about the snow end of things here in just a second. But low end amount on ice right now, about 1/4 of an inch of ice, anywhere up to about 3/4 of an inch of ice, all throughout the heart of our region. That includes Mount Vernon south to around Marion, and possibly even as far south as Johnson County. I think if you live south of Vienna, the overall impacts from this storm will continue to decrease the further south you go. So if you live in Paducah, if you live anywhere in Cape Girardeau or anywhere further south, I think you'll probably see more moderate impacts, if anything at all, depending on how far north that rain and freezing rain line moves, and we're going to talk more about that in a second as well. First of all, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the main impacts we're expecting from this weather event. Biggest thing is going to be travel, and man, if you are traveling anywhere, especially north, on Sunday, I advise you to not do that. Travel is going to be absolutely treacherous on Sunday throughout pretty much all of southern Illinois, especially in points to the north. So if you're going north up towards Chicago, up towards Indianapolis, even traveling to St. Louis, Louisville, Kentucky, all those areas are going to be impacted by this storm in some way. So travel extremely discouraged anywhere probably north from Illinois 13. So anywhere along 13 and north, travel extremely discouraged of any kind on Sunday and even into Monday morning. And yes, if this shapes up the way it is right now, this will definitely have some impacts to the Monday morning commute as well. Another thing we're watching is the potential for power outages. That's something we'll know a little bit more about probably tomorrow night, and especially as this event moves in early Sunday morning. Right now, we have that significantly lower than the travel or the possibility of seeing some downed trees or tree limbs. But I think power is something that we're definitely going to have to keep a close eye on. We could definitely see some sporadic, if not widespread, power outages. That depends on just how much freezing rain we see. If we see anywhere over, say, a half inch of freezing rain, the likelihood for power outages would increase. The one thing that would help that out, though, in not seeing as much widespread outages would be the wind. We are expecting wind gusts up to about 25 miles per hour as this system moves through. So the windier it is, the further north you go, the likelihood of seeing power outages would probably decrease in the areas with less freezing rain. But like I said, that's something we're going to probably know a lot more about this time tomorrow night and into the later hours of Saturday. Let's go ahead and take a look at the impacts from the elements. Like we've said, ice is going to be the main problem for southern Illinois. Anywhere along I-64 and south, freezing rain's the main impact, along with some snow and sleet as well. Still a little bit early to get into the exact numbers of how much snow or sleet we would see, but we'll talk a little bit more about that right now by looking at the timing of this event. Like we've said, this is going to be a multi-day event. It's going to start extremely late Saturday, say around midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. Likely going to come in as a mixture of sleet to the north and freezing rain to the south, and then by the time we move into Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon, that freezing rain is expected to become more widespread throughout the region, along with some snow and sleet mixed in, especially the further north you go. And by the time we get to Monday, that's really where the question mark is right now. How much moderate to light snowfall and sleet are we going to see on the backside of this system? Now, latest model runs have actually been hinting that we could see a little bit of more snow on the backside of this system than it had originally forecast. So that's something we're going to have to keep a close eye on, and still a little bit too early to hone in on exact amounts, but I would say most all of us in southern Illinois will at least see a covering of snow or sleet after this freezing rain moves through, but that obviously is subject to change depending on where that freezing line is. There's going to be a big difference for those of you who live in, say, Metropolis, and those of you who live just in Goreville or Marion, and what you see, depending on where that freezing rain line is. So that's something that's going to play a major factor into what kind of impacts we see. This graphic is from the National Weather Service. Not really a finalized graphic, I would say, but it's a basic idea of about how much ice we could see in our area. The National Weather Service currently predicting about 0.3 of an inch to around 0.4 of an inch of ice all across southern Illinois, which would obviously call for some pretty big impacts in our region. I've had a few people also asking about the high-end amount, which was 0.3 of an inch, or excuse me, 0.75, so 0.75 of an inch of ice. That is the high-end amount. So that we're likely not going to see that much freezing rain. Not to say we could in some areas, but we're not going to see widespread freezing rain amounts up near an inch, I don't think. It's going to be mainly probably anywhere from about 2-3 of an inch to maybe 0.4 of an inch of ice, something we'll have to take a closer eye on the closer we get to this system. This next graphic shows you kind of where we are going to be at when the bulk of this system moves through. So this would be probably late Sunday evening when the brunt of this is coming through. As we've said, anywhere along I-64 all the way up to I-70 has the biggest chance of seeing that mix of snow and sleet throughout the day on Sunday. In areas along and south of I-64, seeing more of a threat of ice. And then on the very bottom of your screen right there, you see that rain threat that would be primarily focused to areas along the Ohio River. If you live near Paducah, I think you'll probably see some freezing rain, but the impacts for those of us in Paducah or the friends out in southeast Missouri, Cape Girardeau, Paducah, that area, likely going to be less impacted by this storm as us here in southern Illinois. Now, like I've said, that freezing rain line, that is the big question as to who sees what, and we're likely not going to know much about that, honestly, until the day of, exactly where that sets up. We have an idea of where it might set up, but this storm is just now coming off of of the Pacific Ocean onto the west coast, so we should know more about that in the next couple days or so. I'd say 24 to 36 hours from now. Once again, I'll go ahead and put this graphic up one more time before we talk a little bit more about what's going to be coming after this system. A little bit more, a lot of people like to ask about the timing, and the timing is an important thing. This is going to be striking on a Sunday, so like I said, I do think this will definitely impact the Monday morning commute in southern Illinois, especially if you are traveling north. If you're going to try to travel anywhere north on Monday, I would not advise doing that, as we'll probably still have snow or ice-covered roadways throughout much of the state. So that will be the timing of this storm, again transitioning from light snow, sleet, and freezing rain on Saturday evening into sleet and freezing rain on Sunday, and then eventually some snowfall possibly on Monday in the morning. Still waiting to see exactly how much snow we might see out of this event. Now let's talk about another big story that really is being, I think, overshadowed by the storm itself, and that is the cold that's going to come after this. So this graphic right here shows us the low temperatures on Wednesday. Now these are actual temperatures. This is the low temperatures for Wednesday morning, and you take a look at that. See that little 0 right there? That's Mount Vernon Airport's reading of what it's expecting to be by Wednesday morning. So a temperature of 0 degrees in Mount Vernon by Wednesday, temperature of 5, 4, 3 degrees in Marion, Harrisburg, and up near Carmine, and then a little bit warmer the further south of there. I say warmer, but by warmer, in reality, we mean into the teens for areas south of that. And then take a look at the real field temps. This is the wind chill for that same time on Wednesday. Most of us will likely be seeing wind chills into the single digits and below 0. We'll see wind chills probably up by Mount Vernon and north of there into the negative teens by the time we get to Wednesday morning. So that means whatever falls on Sunday and Monday is likely going to be sticking around for a while, especially in points to our north. So that's another thing to be keeping in mind beyond this system, just how cold it is going to get in southern Illinois. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the comments or any of questions we might have in the comments. Once again, if you got any questions, make sure to leave those in the comments section. Michelle asking, can it move and change? Yes, it absolutely can move and change. And like I've said, that freezing line is going to be something that we are definitely going to be keeping a very close eye on. If you live in, I'll say Vienna, if you live in Anna, you are probably going to likely be right on that line based off the current model suggestions. So it's going to be a sharp contrast in who sees extreme impacts from this and who sees very little impacts. So we could see extreme impacts in areas like Williamson, Franklin, Jackson counties, and then see little to no impacts down by Paducah. That's just how much this freezing line is going to play into who sees what. So yes, it can definitely move and change, and that's why I extremely advise those of you who are following this storm to definitely keep an eye on what the weather is saying the day of and a couple days before this as well. Let's see if we got any other questions on this in our comments section. A couple people asking if there'll be an ice storm warning. I did cover a little bit about that earlier in the video. We'll likely see a winter storm or ice storm warning out of this because it is just such of an impact through southern Illinois. How much ice for Carbondale? Are we looking at power outages? Carbondale is likely going to be impacted by that freezing rain. Carbondale, Marion, Harrisburg, right around Route 13. You're going to primarily be seeing more in the way of freezing rain from this storm. Now, power outages, it just depends, as we mentioned, on exactly how much freezing rain we see. So that is something that we are going to be keeping a very close eye on. So I believe that's all the questions we have in the comments section for right now. I'll go ahead and put this graphic back up to give you a better idea of exactly which areas will likely be seeing what. I will also mention, we've talked a lot about that freezing line. Well, a lot of it depends on what exactly happens on Sunday as well. So there could be, and some models have been hinting at this, there could be a short time, and this would be good, there could be a short time on Sunday where we see freezing rain and sleet moving through southern Illinois, but that freezing rain line is hinting to maybe creep up just far enough for a little bit to where we might actually transition to all rain for an hour or so in areas probably as far north as Marion or Johnston City on Sunday. So, and then switching back to freezing rain and snow after that. So there's a short little time period where we might actually see just some normal rain falling for about an hour or so in southern Illinois, but that's something we'll know more about come the day of. So definitely be keeping a close eye on the forecast if you live in those areas or really anywhere that's being impacted by the storm. Like I said, if you live in Mount Vernon and north of there, you are guaranteed to see either ice or snow from this storm. It's pretty much completely, at this point, you are guaranteed to see something from this storm. Areas south of there, like we've said with that freezing line, is where it gets a little bit more iffy, but all the models in agreement right now that the heart of southern Illinois is going to see the biggest impacts when it comes to freezing rain and ice from this storm. So with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up this live stream. We'll have another one tomorrow evening as well, and keep your questions coming in as we continue to follow this winter storm moving into southern Illinois.